headache to the cause of these girls. Two, you should recognize that, this whole terrorism happens in other countries, and when terrorism happens, nobody says to the government, speaks to the government about it. And by the way, even terrorism happened in China recently. That for me, again, was really totally not the right basis for a conversation.
Dr. Obi, now that all of this has happened and you are in the middle of moving this campaign forward and making sure that the girls come back, what do you think the next step is in getting these girls back?
I believe that the last point of contact that we as the public knew was the video that was fielded by the abductees, or the abductors rather, of these girls, and their request that they made wanting a swap arrangement for the girls. That was the last we knew of anything concerning the girls. Girls have been identified. We believe in the movement, which is a movement that has a very huge presence of members of the Chibok community. We believe that there is the necessity for an engagement on the issue. There needs to be an engagement on the issue, and there needs to be information that is available to the citizens in a way that you manage information of this kind that could be traumatic and which could work against the safety of the girls. Manage it properly, but at the same time, there's a modicum of communication that is necessary in order to persuade citizens that every arsenal, every menu of options are on the table and are being utilized in engaging on this single issue. The second thing that I find rather unfortunate is that the citizens we as a movement, we have been to the National Security Advisor, we have been to the Chief of Defense Staff, we have been to the National Assembly, received by the entire leadership of the National Assembly, we have been to the Governor of Borno State. We then said it was necessary to engage with our President. He is our father, and we're going to engage with him as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and to give him a sense of the things that we gathered in the course of these various engagements, and then hear from him and be persuaded by him that we are together in this campaign to bring back our girls. It was a missed opportunity for our President to have allowed a generic bland statement that was lacking in empathy to be read to these people. We had two parents of abducted girls in our midst. They cried all through the time that generic, blunt, insensitive statement was read. Essentially, what we were being told is, we're not responsible for this, therefore go and speak to Boko Haram. What is the business of the citizen to go and speak to Boko Haram? Moral suasion doesn't work with hideous elements of the kind that these girls are with. Moral suasion doesn't work with them. If moral suasion worked, my goodness, 170 million people, we would find perhaps 160 million that would engage in moral suasion with Boko Haram. But the issue is that the control of the monopoly of coercive apparatus belongs to government. And the duty and responsibility of government is what citizens are saying. Please act. Not only act swiftly, act coherently, act in a sustained manner. These girls are a statement as to what we really prioritize in our society. And that's what citizens are saying. It is so heartbreaking to see the way that people are having a conversation about the lives of these girls as though we were having some political conversation. Goodness me, can we just send this politics that has not even delivered anything sensible to us?
Doctor,
all through our 50 years and going, what has the politics of politicization of the most important issues delivered to us? And we have 200 and something girls in the wild and we dare to make it a political conversation, do you know that the citizens that went to the president went with a sense that our president would understand that this was an indication, a symbol to him, that the united Nigerian citizens are saying, our commander-in-chief, we are behind you. Tell us what it is that you're going to do. Let that signal be clear to everybody that this whole thing has nothing to do with your political persuasion, your religious inclination, your ideological bent, whatever. It doesn't matter to us. As a united group of people, we care about each other. We care about the lives of our girls. We want our girls brought back.
Dr. Ezekwesili, let me ask you right now. Some people have suggested that the president dialogue with Boko Haram, Honorable Abducted still said that yesterday. Do you agree?
I think that there are many nations that have very, almost, the way to put it is, repeated or long-running experience on how to deal with elements like Boko Haram when they put up such kind of untenable demand. They have generated the expertise to know that what you want to do is to open a channel of conversation, but you must not compromise your criminal justice system to them. But you use different kinds of expertise and skills to engage, because what you want to make sure to do is to ensure that the channel for that conversation that gives your ultimate prize, your ultimate result, which is the life of those girls, bringing them back home alive, is your objective. And then the many parts that you have to work toward doing that is based on expertise. I think what the citizens are saying to the government is open up the channel for all kinds of expertise to be on the table and use everything possible to make sure that those girls are brought back. It's a single issue for us. Bring back our girls. Nobody is assuming that this is an easy call. Not at all. Why was it imperative for citizens to come out and to make this massive campaign? It was imperative because it was silence as usual. Many weeks after this happened, the very first day that we learned of it, because it happened close to midnight on the 14th, same day that the Nyanya bombing took place. By the next morning, we realized that this tragedy had happened. I started the campaign on Twitter, putting a focus on the issue of the girls and asking. In fact, I was tweeting directly to the Nigerian Army headquarters handle and saying, is there any news about these girls? And then there was a moment when there was this news that they had found, it was 100 and something girls taken. They had found 100 and something of them, and it was only 8 still missing. You could hear, my Twitter handle went above. I was so I celebrated the Nigerian Army like no man's business. And people were saying, don't celebrate yet, because you're not sure. I said, come on, guys, have we become so broken that we don't have any trust in our own institutions? I said, I'd rather celebrate them. It turned out that the people who were telling me to not celebrate yet were right, because it turned out not to be true, that nobody had been found. And then the news carried on with silence. There was absolutely, in my sense, until the 23rd, when at the Port Harcourt, as the book capital of the world, I was there, Professor Wole Soyinka was there, and it was an incredible meeting of minds, because nobody knew what Professor Wole Soyinka's speech was about. It turned out to be a speech on terrorism. In the meantime, we had planned that we were going to ask the entire audience to stand in solidarity with the girls. And in standing in solidarity with the girls, we played back on the fact that Professor Wole Soyinka's speech was saying, he was telling the story of bring back our books, our book, which was an event that he had done with President Jonathan. When we got up to say to people to stand in solidarity, I said to them, let us declare, bring back our daughters. And then when I got to my seat, I tweeted and I said to the whole world, lend your voice and say, bring back our daughters, bring back our girls. Okay. And there was a young who also tweeted the same thing. And that's how this whole